On October the 17th, a coalition of some 100,000 combatants made up of the Iraqi army, Kurdish Peshmerga, Hashid Shaabi, Sunni tribal groups and special forces launched a major offensive on Mosul, the ISIL stronghold in Iraq. The defeat of ISIL in strategic Mosul is a major objective for the Iraqi authorities. It was here in 2014 that the group proclaimed its caliphate. The battle plan is to encircle the city. Shi'ite groups are deployed to the west to block any ISIL escape to Raqqa in Syria. Hashid Shaabi are positioned near Tal Afar, a little further away from Mosul, a Sunni city. The stranglehold also prevents civilians from fleeing the city. The strategy adopted is to advance slowly and keep casualties to a minimum. The fighting is at close quarters, street by street, house by house. Surrounded and running out of options, the jihadists have increased the number of suicide attacks, using the extensive network of underground tunnels to reach and then hit targets. To counter the threat, Iraqi forces use bulldozers to create makeshift barricades. Mosul is a city of 1.8 million inhabitants, of which at least 1 million remain trapped by the violence. The army requested they sit tight until each neighbourhood is cleared of jihadists. 8 weeks after the onslaught began, the UN claims 90,000 have left their homes. With the advent of winter, the people here are deprived of staples and they're feeling the pressure. There's not enough humanitarian aid for all the people. If people weren't hungry, they wouldn't run. People are hungry. They would not do this if they weren't hungry. Before the assault on Mosul, government troops flushed ISIL out of the oil town of Qayyara. As ISIL fled, fighters torched 13 oil wells. In November, after 2 years under ISIL control, Nimrud on the eastern bank of the Tigris fell. After months under ISIL, Nimrud, an ancient Assyrian city, is now 70% rubble. On the other side of the border in Syria is Palmyra, a city first documented in the early second millennium. On December the 10th, ISIL recaptured the city in a shock move as Russian forces and Assad's army pounded Aleppo. Palmyra sits in the middle of a desert surrounded by mountains, and it's difficult to defend, allowing a retreating ISIL to launch a surprise attack. Also in Syria, Raqqa, the de facto capital of ISIL, has been under siege since early November from a coalition of US military, Syrian Democratic Forces and Arab Kurds. The mission, known as the Wrath of the Euphrates, is underway.